listening to The Review on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Review. It's the Online Sports Guys College Football Podcast featuring us, the Online Sports Guys. And guys, we had let's just call it an interesting and a little bit of a different week of college football action this week. For the most part, we had lots of cupcake games. Games where the score really wasn't that close. And before we get into breaking down some of those games, I want to ask all three of you the question. Should we even be playing these games when we have scores like 77-0 and 69-3?
Yes. I'm just going to say, in Ohio State's instance, Grambling has a $6 million budget. Ohio State just provided him $3 million.
Mm-hmm.
So while it's not exactly fun to watch, it's nice to see your developmental guys. It's nice for Grambling to get what they need, keep their stuff going.
And I mean, Marty.
And in case you're an OU fan and the other OU, Ohio University, you might take out a Big 12 team, not for nothing, but against Big 12 opponents, Ohio University is 4-1 in their last 5.
Yeah, we've got, as many of those big blowout cupcake games that there were a couple of surprises, which we'll get into here in a minute.
South Florida.
No, sorry. Sly Fox, what do you think? What are your thoughts on these big blowout games? How hard is it to sell something like that to the student body when you're saying, hey, come watch us play? It's a game that's not going to be competitive, but it's a game.
Well, if I were selling it to the students, I'd say you can drink as much as you want before you come in. You only have to stay for an hour and a half, then you can go back out and continue on. That is,
tailgate lots open at 7 a.m.
I think a lot of people win in this case. The viewers don't necessarily, but they also know that they don't have to commit 3.5 hours to that game either, so they can get other stuff done.
It makes for an interesting dilemma. It's got to be kind of hard to be one of those players on that team, knowing that you're going in, knowing that you don't have much of a chance to win the game, and then come out on the back end of like East Texas A&M goes into Florida State and loses 77-0.
Yeah.
On the plus side, if you show up, you're kind of making your transfer portal experience maybe a little better if you stand out a little bit during that game.
Yeah. And I mean, what you're also doing is you are, if you're that, if you're the cupcake, what you're doing is you're in a certain way, you're also auditioning for those players that aren't the Power Five. They aren't the group of 5. It's like, hey, we do have these kinds of games on our schedule. If you're an athlete that wants to have that kind of an experience and you want to challenge yourself against those kind of individuals, here's that opportunity to do it. Yes, we're getting a paycheck. Yes, Marty, by the way, the other element of the experience that we have been hounding all week long, Grambling's band made the trip. That's another part of this whole college football experience that you get to see. But it's a bit of an audition, I think, for those cupcakes as well, to sit there and say, hey, look, we're not afraid to take on those big boys. And in the case of Ohio University, you never know what's going to happen. In the case of South Florida, who's been getting a lot of pub in the first couple of weeks of the season, you go to those dirty, rotten cheaters at the University of South Georgia Gainesville campus, and you take out a scalp because you never doubt a Grammatica ever. And you get instances like that.
Not with a game on the line.
You never know what's going to happen. Just ask
Coach is over there on the sidelines like, wait, what's his last name?
Grammatica.
With so many games. Yeah, with so many games on during the day, I mean, we could, if you eliminate 75% of the games because they're cupcakes, there were plenty of watchable games for us to make it through the day. Kansas, Missouri, etc. And so, good.
How about the Stones on the person that got the halftime field goal kick for $25,000 that decides to troll instead of actually trying to get $25,000?
The rival student section.
Just pulls up a inappropriate message written across his chest and kicks it towards their sideline.
The weekend
I would have went for the
MVP.
25 grand, but still showed the writing.
But what do you
Ever-
want to bet? What do you want to bet that even though he didn't get the 25 grand because of the choice that he made, that he will have what we refer to in the business as value in kind going
Okay.
forward because of what he did on Saturday.
He might get 25 grand in free beer throughout the season.
Yeah. Yeah. Some things like being a campus hero are priceless. Guys, let's go ahead and we might as well go ahead and dive into some of the games. We'll start with some of the top 25 games. Some good, some not so good. Ohio State, we mentioned briefly, they played Grambling State. That score 70-0. The highlight of that game really was probably at the end when the two bands combined to give a little bit of a jam session to everybody at the end of the game.
Check out Ohio State Twitter. One of the beat writers posted a good length video of those guys playing. That was amazing. I would have stayed after the game.
Oh, God, yes.
I would have paid that ticket price for that.
Mm-hmm.
Going on down.
Bo Jackson scored for Ohio State, by the way.
Different
Don't
Bo.
tell Patty.
I think everybody except for maybe the couple members of the band scored for Ohio State in that game.
Yeah.
We won't talk much about Penn State. They won 34-0 over Florida International. Nothing particularly interesting in that game. LSU struggled a little bit against Louisiana Tech. They did win the game 23-7, but that game was 10-0 at the half. La Tech really couldn't do much with LSU's defense, but LSU couldn't do a whole heck of a lot with La Tech's defense either.
That's good when you win your letdown game, though.
Yeah. Yeesh. And you know that Sports Talk Radio in Baton Rouge on Monday will definitely be taking umbrage with the end result.
Good thing that coach is used to people not liking him.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
Lifetime job skill for that man.
Miami Bethune-Cookman, not really worth getting into. That one was 45-3. But the next game down on the list is a game that I really want to ask you guys about, because let's just say it was a battle of two teams that not too long ago were considered major teams. Not so much anymore, because Oregon and Oklahoma State played. Oklahoma State traveling up to Corvallis. The final score in that game,
sir.
Eugene, sorry. There's my malaprop for the day.
Fighting words.
Oregon beating Oklahoma State. The Fighting Gundies go down 69-3.
I don't know how fighting they were.
You know, Oregon's not getting talked about enough. The team speed there is just insane.
Probably like it that way.
Yeah. Well, there was some talk going on before this game, and I think that's kind of what got that score going, is a little bit of smack before it. And
Mike Gundy talking a little bit of Mike Gundy talking a little NIL trash about the Oregon Ducks. That might have been a little bit of a payback.
Zip it.
I think this is more of an indictment of where Oklahoma State is as a program than where Oregon is.
That's kind of, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State is 4-10, I think, in their last 14.
Probably.
And
how'd they ever get 4?
Weeks like this, when you're playing like Tulsa, or no offense to the Lamb family, but Tulsa in previous years, East Texas A&M. When you're playing the Dick Vitalian cupcakes, that's how you get that 4.
Yeah.
And then
when you have your EA Sports type schedule.
Yes, and then you get lit up, and literally this is where the roster of the Oregon football team looks down at the iPad, hands the iPad back to the producer, and says, "And that's when I took it personal."
NIL this Mike Gundy.
And then after the game, Mike's son goes on one of the social medias and says, well, without Mike Gundy, you wouldn't have Oklahoma State football where it is. He is Oklahoma State football, and it went for a good long number of characters.
That's not the comment to make after an L, by the way.
No, then frankly, it would be T. Boone Pickens, who is probably more for Oklahoma State than Mike Gundy. And the paragraph, the section of War and Peace that was extracted and placed on the Sun's social media accounts was summarily pulled after it was posted.
Yeah, without T. Boone Pickens, they had been playing North Texas the last week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or East Texas A&M.
And probably
or losing to Commerce.
Yeah.
Another
Be
game
real.
here to talk. Another game here I want to ask you guys about. Clemson really struggled with Troy.
I
Troy
struggle
was up
trying to
for-
find a game on.
There's go to if you've got the ESPN Plus package, you should be able to get all of those games.
I think it was on one of the ACCs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Clemson did win the game 27-16, but you could make the argument that Troy outplayed them pretty much the entire game.
Absolutely, no doubt.
They won the first half.
Mm-hmm. It was 16. It was 16-3 at the break, and I think that we talk about it saying more about the team that loses than the team that wins. I mean, you had let's see, doing my math here, a little over 300 yards of total offense. You had 7 different receivers catch passes. You did have, however, 1 turnover, but you did get 1 in return from Clemson. So I think that honestly, for Cade Klubnik, any conversation that was had previous to leading into this season, everybody was thinking that Cade Klubnik was probably going to be one of the individuals that was going to get the envelope and say, here's your ticket to New York City.
Yeah, maybe not.
18-24, 196, 2-1. And for those of you that believe in QBRs, 42.8. I think that Cade Klubnik needs to focus on Cade Klubnik and no longer what the idea might be at the end of the season.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Got one here for you, Brother Sly Fox.
Yeah, this is the one I want to hear about.
You're Illini with a big win over the Dukies, 45-19.
He said Dookie.
Yeah, this one was, as I mentioned last week, talked about for months and months in the Illinois circles. Like, this would be the litmus test. Will Illinois be a legit team this year? And they had a lot to deal with because it was in the mid-90s there, and not easy for a big lumbering Big Ten team to go down there and win a game like that. Duke is good, and Duke decided they weren't going to let Illinois run the ball. And once the offensive coordinator figured out how to pass protect against that blitz, they shredded them from that point on, and then started wearing them out, controlling the clock. Duke didn't seem ready for a game like that. Muffed a punt, turned it over 5 times, did everything you should do to lose a game like that at home, and Illinois made almost no mistakes. So they're what a great one to get. And now, 2 weeks from now, they're at Indiana, which is another game that's been talked about for months and months. And assuming they don't have a debacle against Western Michigan next week or a horrific injury, that one will be a pretty wild affair in the Midwest, talking about a 4th potential playoff team in the Big Ten. Sort of a play-in game of sorts if things continue on their current path.
Nice performance. Go ahead, John.
I mean, Luke Altmaier, 22 of 31, 296 and 3. I mean, literally, you only had 123 yards on the ground. So that's what, 419 total, 296 through the air. And you force a pick from Darian Mensah. And he threw for 334 because, when you're trailing, you're obviously just going to light it up that way. Only 82 yards rushing. But you had 4 lost fumbles on the day for Duke.
Oops.
And I think that classifies itself as not good. But what do you want to bet? Not that we're the betting type here, but
Unless you're willing to sponsor us.
Illinois and Indiana. What do you want to bet that ends up as your big 2 Mickey Mouse hands pointing north kickoff in a couple of weeks?
Good.
Why not? It's likely the most interesting game of that day in the Big Ten. I haven't
And
looked at
you
the
get to sample and you get to sample the noon kick, and you get to sample the noon kick. And what's Portnoy going
Yeah,
to yell
somebody else
about?
take that for once.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, so what's Portnoy going to yell about in this one? See, that's my point. Good. Maybe you'll shut up.
Yeah.
Somebody help find us a pregame show to watch.
Or don't watch one at all.
We'll just
I'm
make one.
serious. My lawn looks amazing since they've done all these pregame shows have just gone down so far. My yard looks amazing. I'm getting all this work done at the house before the kickoffs.
Yeah, that's usually my time to go for my morning run. Get that done before, as long as I'm back before noon, we're good. Next two games you want to talk about were your big kind of biting games.
Yeah.
Mississippi State takes down Arizona State 24-20. I guess for the Mississippi State folks, that must be a tremendously huge deal because they stormed the field afterwards.
It was. I mean, because of the lack of overall wins and optimism that you've had in Stark Vegas for the last couple of seasons, you get a win like this. And this game, it took a little while for Arizona State to kind of warm up the engines in it. Second half was great football. It was back and forth. And my larger question, and this will probably be the question in the film room for Kenny Dillingham all week long. You're leading late, and Mississippi State has to go the length of the field to either tie or take a lead on you. You decide to send your Z receiver basically just on a vert. It is just a go route. He had inside position on the defensive back. The defensive back is playing like just to make sure that he doesn't get beat long. Quarterback throws the ball inside on an out and an in. 5 yards of separation on this pass. All he had to do is complete the pass, ends up as a 60-yard touchdown with 30 seconds to go to get the lead. And that was how the game ended up. So for Mississippi State to have a moment like that late in the game, comeback win in a back and forth game where they had the lead, lost it, and then ended up getting the win anyway. It's a big moment for Jeff Lebby. And I don't know how many of those moments you're going to have, but still, to have a receiver that wide open, that late, less than a minute to go, and you get the long touchdown pass. It was now you know field storming. Yeah, absolutely, you are now.
Yeah, you got to storm the field now because you're not doing it towards the end of the season.
No, that is true, and that leads me to the other big game, the other big upset of the weekend. South Florida takes down the Florida Gators 18-16 on a game-winning at the buzzer field goal by one of the sons of the flying Grammatica brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Ha 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 ha.
All's right with the world.
Well, they did everything they could to help the kid.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, let's just go ahead and have our third spitting of the week.
Yeah.
Let's see what happened this week. Oh yeah, let me try that because it worked out so great for the other guy.
Yeah, maybe I could get away with it.
So, can those kids get their NIL fined for dumb stuff like that?
I doubt it.
They don't have a kangaroo court, although they probably should.
Now he's going to get a chewing tobacco endorsement.
Big League Chew, just do it that way. For those that need to know, the buyout of Billy Napier's deal, 85% of the money left on the contract. So it's $18.96 million at the end of this season.
Yeah, which is down from what it was last year when we had this same exact discussion.
Yeah, well, time and the Earth's rotation will help you out when it comes to prorating a contract. But right now, it's $18.96 million at the end of the year.
I don't know if you guys saw it, different team, but a woman was being interviewed about the Powerball, and she said if she won, she'd buy out Bama's coach.
Yes, I did see that. Just means
I'm
more.
So I think somebody hit yesterday, so we need to check where the ticket
One
was
was in
sold.
Texas, and I think one was in Texas and one was in Virginia. Go ahead, Sly.
I might not have had to do this podcast today. Then I better go check that out.
I'm actually really happy for Alex Golish. He was an assistant in Illinois in the dreadful Tim Beckman years, but he has had a pretty cool progression. He was at Toledo and worked with Matt Campbell there, wound up back with him at Iowa State, worked with Josh Heupel, and went to a USF situation, and they've won 2 bowl games. I mean, his first 2 years there, and that's a program in general that's interesting to me because we used to live down in the Tampa area. They play at the Buccaneers Stadium, got a great recruiting base, and
They bottomed out. They bottomed out a couple years ago too.
Yeah, it's really happy for all involved there. They would be sort of a candidate in a next wave of conference reorganization in a big metro market, playing in an NFL stadium next to the airport. I mean, that would be a viable addition to a conference, I would think. So good stuff there.
And a good win. Don't want to talk too much about Florida State's win, 77-3. That pretty much says everything we need to discuss about that game. I would think.
Two undefeated teams in Florida.
You gave it too much time.
Yes. But I do want to mention Oklahoma downing Michigan 24-13.
I was going to say, just let Marty talk about this one. I'm good.
Yes. Marty, the floor is yours.
Oh, I don't really need the floor. I'm just... How much they pay for that kid? 12 million. And I don't know. Did you guys see the sideline spat after some rough play? You can't. I understand he's the highest paid person on the team, including the coach, but you can't have a freshman talking like that to upperclassmen.
Yeah, I saw
you
something.
You can pay for talent, but you can't pay for class or leadership, and that's where NIL is going wrong. Like, this kid's needs to get his head on straight.
Yeah, I saw something this morning that I think they average like $1 million per completion.
Yeah, and then they overpaid him $1 million per yard past the open receiver. It's Oklahoma did not have a great game. They had a lot of mistakes, and they still won this.
Yeah, both of those teams are still ranked.
Yep.
40 years ago, this would have been a great game.
God, yes.
Yes, it would have. Speaking of great games, we got a couple of great games after that. Iowa State getting the win at Iowa, or not at Iowa. It was at Iowa State in Ames, 16-13. Another late field goal there for the win.
Yeah, for all that's been said about Iowa's new offensive coordinator and the new quarterback, when it came down to it, Kirk Ferentz Iowa is still that. And this is the end score was about as predictable as you could get. But as
same as it ever was.
It's been said a couple of weeks ago, Matt Campbell's Iowa State Cyclones have a habit of winning these types of games, and it's just an incredible story with what's going on there. And I've obviously no love for Iowa, so happy to see that result.
Okay, so here's to Sly's point. As I sit here and look at the number, Mark Gronowski, 13 of 24 on the day. You're sitting there going, okay, yeah, 13 of 24. That's solid. There were probably cars driving on the interstate at higher numbers than the yards completed by Mark Gronowski. 83. 13 of 24 for 83 yards and a pick. QBR 29.2. And you had 131 yards rushing. So literally you finished the day with 214 net yards of offense. Yeah. So much for having your pharynxectomy in the offense.
I believe the phrase is the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Change coordinators, but not playbooks.
Correct.
Now, the opposite of that game was the game right below that. Baylor at SMU, 48-45 in 2 overtimes. That was pretty damn good game.
Baylor
SMU
came
gets
back
a
from the
kicker. You
dead
better
and
watch out.
yeah.
I mean,
That is heartbreaking. Props to SMU. They usually don't have full stands, and they were sold out.
yeah. Sawyer Robertson threw for 440 and 4, and it was Baylor having to come back in the fourth quarter. I mean, and then SMU. Literally, this game. I think this game just ended. Actually, by the time that we were talking here on Sunday, and you're in the second overtime, and basically all Baylor really had to do was just make sure that they could get the field goal. Everything happened first overtime. Everybody scores. Then you have SMU miss their opportunity in the second. Baylor kicks the field goal to win in the second. But now, if you were looking for games to take up an afternoon and actually be entertaining, this was definitely that. I still think that when you look at these two teams, you see what graduation has done to SMU, and I think they'll improve as the season goes along. And I also think that you have continued messaging about the issues of Baylor's defense that you saw last week, and this week where you have an old Southwest Conference matchup, you're still giving up a boatload of points and a boatload of yards. I don't think this bodes
Got a Big
well
12
for Dave
defense.
Aranda later in the year. And so I think it's something that they've really got to look at. Right now, you're getting away with it. I don't think it's going to do well for you later in the year.
Don't want to really talk about too much about any of the other ranked games here, partially because they all, for the most part, were blowouts.
Correct.
Alabama 73-0 over UL Monroe, Tennessee 72, East Tennessee 17, Indiana 56, Kennesaw State 9,
And that was 21-9 at one point.
Texas Tech 62, Kent State 14. Not a good week to be a MAC squad. And Utah.
OU.
Yeah.
West Virginia.
Utah 63, Cal Poly 9.
Paycheck. That's all this is. It's paycheck game.
Yes. And guys, I hate to do this to you, but I have an airport shuttle to catch, so this is the part where I sign off.
Okay, then go sign off and go
send
catch
us
your
to
shuttle
break,
and
sir.
go
Send us to break.
Northwest.
I will send us to break here. When we come back in the second half of the show, we'll talk a little bit more about some of the games that went on this week. And we'll also hit up next week's games and, of course, everybody's favorite segment, college football on a budget. All that and more when we return to the review. You are listening to the review on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.
Over here in the OSG Sports side of things, we talk football. Football. College football version here with the college football review every single week. But for those of you that like not just football with two O's, but football with a U, Futbol, there's the Soccer Down Here Network. I'm John Nelson. I host the morning show on Soccer Down Here along with Jarrett Smith, Nick Alifi, Jason Longshore. And if you're looking for the best information when it comes to the world of soccer, based in the southeastern United States, but we don't leave anything off the table. 9:05 Eastern time until 11 whenever. Sometimes we go for a while. SDH Network morning show, soccer's morning show, Monday through Friday, plus all the live events we do. It is your place and your source for soccer that is based in the Southeast, but covers everything on the world. SoccerDownHere.net, the Soccer Down Here app, available iOS and Android through our friends at Spreaker. That's like speaker with an R in the middle. Spreaker, do a search for OSG Sports, do a search for Soccer Down Here. All the soccer content all in one place. It is the SDH Network and Soccer Down Here.
Welcome back to the B block. Since B follows A, that means this is the second segment. We're going to continue talking about a couple of the games that were off the radar from this past week, get you ready for some of the marquee stuff coming up this weekend, and as always, an early peek at football on a budget. For those of you that want to follow along during the week, some of the great stories that we have here, we're going to follow up on in the midweek on the College Football X with Wilkie and myself. and we'll get you ready for the weekend. We'll update football on a budget and talk to some of the great principals from this weekend past. Okay, a couple of other games, guys, that I wanted to get into since we went through
So
the
you're
top
not
25.
worried. Phil has entered the transfer shuttle, not the
Yes,
portal, the
yes.
shuttle.
Yes, he's catching a flight to the Pacific Northwest, and he did not wish to attract the ire of the boss. When you have a game like we have this week, where you're dealing in desserts, should you not have the appropriate amount of fireworks on hand if that is a way that you celebrate scoring? I'm just asking. As a concerned citizen, I'm just asking.
In their defense, they had on hand the normal amount of fireworks required for 3 of their games at home.
Yet, the University of Minnesota, Oski Wee Weed and Oski Wawad all over northwestern state of Louisiana. One of our pet programs that we follow here at OSG Sports for a couple of different reasons, and you can go and do the Google search and you can find out why. Minnesota put 66 up on northwestern state, and they ran out of fireworks because you score, everything goes boom, everybody goes crazy. They scored 66 and ran out of fireworks. So then my question is, and Sly, let me start with you. Is this the fault of the university for not having enough fireworks on hand, or is this the fault of the individuals in charge of the fireworks for not budgeting their fireworks appropriately?
I would say both.
Okay.
And I would say that there's so much boat rowing going on up there in that program. They should have just taken the boat and row it down to get more fireworks. That's during the course of the game. That would have seemed more reasonable.
I mean, go out at halftime. Go to the fireworks convenience store. Go to the fireworks magic market or the kangaroo.
Right.
Kangaroo.
Don't forget, you can only have so much in that little storage room with fire codes and everything. Not to mention, when was the last time they've scored that many points?
I know it usually takes about 4 games for that to happen. I know.
Yeah.
But yes, so we give a choice D to Minnesota, and we wag our collective index finger at you, sir, for your inappropriate budgeting of fireworks in your win over Northwestern State.
That being said, good problem to have.
Yes. One of the rivalries that I don't think gets enough pub, and sadly it's because they don't play each other every year when they should, Kansas and Missouri. These two teams hate each other. And I mean, we have our, in our
it tears the town in half.
It does. And you have this rivalry that dates back literally to how each state viewed the Civil War. That's how far back this goes. Missouri thought of the main plot line of the Civil War one way. Kansas thought of the main plot line of the Civil War in another way. And so the Missourians referred to those dirty, rotten, cheating, fighting Kansans as Jayhawks. And so Jayhawking is not a positive participle in the state of Missouri. Kansas takes it as a source of pride. And so when these two teams played for the first time in a while, and sadly this rivalry, and this was on site, this was not a neutral site game where they would play at Arrowhead or something like that. Literally, this was on site in Columbia, Missouri. They don't play again until I think 2031 just because of scheduling and the two conferences they're a part of. Kansas was up 21-6 after one. Then Missouri comes storming back 21-all at the break. And you're thinking, okay, this is about what I figured. Then Missouri puts the pedal down third and fourth quarter, and you figure that a lot of that has to do with depth and everything and figuring out Jaden Daniels. So Missouri wins at 42-31 for the first time that these two teams have played in more than a decade. So, Marty, let me start with you in this one. It's great that we get games like this, but it's disappointing that they're not a part of the fabric because of scheduling and because of conferences not being bedfellows. This is one that I think needs to be right to the front of the line.
Yeah, this could easily be fixed with making it one of the kickoff classics. Especially it's good to have in week 2 when we had all these other horrible matchups.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of money can make this happen every year, because every year you end up getting teams that have to flip this schedule, flip that schedule, get a last minute replacement. They got to make this a thing. I mean, look at it. A dude gave away a chance. You give me a shot, 25 grand. I'm not trolling. I'm going for the cash.
But
But school pride, the guy's the legend now. They got to make this happen. I mean, I would love to see this again this year as a bowl game. Bigger stadium.
This reminds me a lot of what could be, where they could go with this is where Illinois and Missouri are in the basketball rivalry, doing a bragging rights game in St. Louis, and every year, and regardless of how good or bad the teams are, that game is always a crackerjack game. And same with Kansas, Missouri. They could do the same thing every year in football. Put it anywhere you want in that region, and it'd be an incredible environment. Both these teams are good. I mean, I'm not surprised it was a quality game, and both teams will. I mean, Missouri has a schedule that could they could do some damage in the SEC, and so could Kansas in the Big 12. So
the
I
Big
think it
12
lived up to
18,
what's it about. Yep.
you end up with the
What'd you
Big
say?
12 18 now.
Oh yes, sorry about that.
Big 12 18.
Yes.
A couple of other odds and ends. We kind of had a thought that Navy would be angry after last week. They were. They beat UAB by 14. And you also had, we did kind of slyly, pun intended, discuss Ohio University in West Virginia. Not everything is right in Morgantown. So I guess that means that Ohio, you were the ones that were burning couches in Athens, Ohio with the win over West Virginia. You end up with Bryant beating UMass. I didn't have that on my bingo card. The fighting Bulldogs of Bryant University of Providence, Rhode Island, knocking off UMass Amherst 27-26. And as I sit here, that was not what I wanted. I literally hit a button and it decides to just send me spiraling in a different location. One of the games that we thought was going to be a sneaky one, an angry Army team at Kansas State. Army beats Kansas State 24-21. And Northern Colorado puts up a fight against Colorado State. Not a sentence I thought I would be mentioning here on our weekend review show, but 21-17, Colorado State survives Northern Colorado. That's a sentence I didn't think I was going to be able to discuss here on the show. Vandy beats Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, and that one ended up as a no contest. I'm worried about Virginia Tech offensively. When you have Diego Pavia coming in, then all bets are off, and you end up with that. Michigan State and BC apparently decided to actually play football and score points for some strange reason. Double overtime there, 82 points total.
Changed.
UNLV and UCLA. When you look at this one,
would have been a good basketball game back in the day.
True. I mean, could you imagine the UCLA team Sly going up against the Runnin' Rebels, where you have who was it? Was it George Ackles and Stacey Augman and Anderson Hunt? UNLV and what do you want to bet that? So Sly, I anticipate this one. I did not see the post game press conference. I figured Dan Mullen said something like this. Get prepared here. Great win for our program. Great early statement in the year. Great UCLA team, and we thank them for being a great rival for us. We're looking forward to building this rivalry going down the line. I don't know what this says about us long term as we go here in the season in our first year at Nevada, Las Vegas, but I think it speaks a lot about the dedication that the student athletes have had coming into this year. Once again, a great signature win for our program. Can't wait to build on this next week against insert opponent here. How was that, guys?
I didn't see the post-game presser either, but I'd say that's likely spot on. And Moses Scurry was, I believe, in attendance,
yes,
and enjoying the action. But UCLA has got a real long-term problem, I think, because I really don't see their pathway up. where do they go? And
Probably the Mountain West if they want to win.
yeah, growing up, I mean, UCLA was always good with Terry Donahue, and now the league that they're in, I, I don't see many games that they are likely to pull off. And then what we've seen in the big conferences is that if you don't keep up, you get passed by very quickly. So that I don't know, I don't know how they could solve this, but they're on a road to a disaster uh, for not only this season but maybe the next couple.
So, Marty, safe to say that the University of Tennessee won the Joey Aguilar, Nico Iamaleava trade?
Oh God. I feel bad for that kid, but I mean, yeah, it's a problem of your own making.
Mm-hmm.
Follow me, I'm a leader. I lead my way out of town. It's
Lemmings over the edge of the cliff.
something to be said for loyalty and sticking things out.
I mean, this is what I'm saying. And by the way, this is just for information purposes only. The 11:59 Eastern kickoff with Hawaii at Clarence T.C. Ching and the Bearcats with a K of Sam Houston State. Hawaii wins 37-20. That is just for information purposes only. So that's
Hawaii has the best entrance in college football.
Oh, that is absolutely true. So now we've wrapped up the week that was, kind of sort of, with a lot of the headlines, and there were some folks that there were some folks that came up and bit folks. So why don't we take a peek ahead at the schedule, as the kids say, and you look at activity. We actually have Thursday night football in the ACC, North Carolina State and Wake. And that in and of itself is a good enough reason to go to Friday's games and let you know what's going on there. Indiana State, Indiana, Colgate, Syracuse, Colorado, Houston, Kansas State, Arizona, New Mexico, and UCLA. So that means why don't we just go straight to Saturday, September 12th?
Friday is for high school. Stop it.
This is what I'm saying. I mean, and I legitimately think that, and I understand the why, because it is the revenue that speaks, and if you have these windows where you can have all kinds of opportunity to promote your product, you're going to do it. I mean, Tuesday, Wednesday action, you cannot pass that up, and it's really it's fun to kind of look at it. I'm sitting here looking at schedules for Saturday specifically. And Clemson and Georgia Tech out of the blocks, noon Eastern at Bobby Dodd. Clemson 9.5, 58.5. Sly, Georgia Tech is proving to be a pain in the butt under Brent Key. Clemson gets a scare with Troy. Once again, a sentence I never thought that I would utter on this show. But when you look at this one, does anything jump out to you, or is this a get right for Clemson?
The number jumps out at me at Bobby Dodd. This is the game to me for Clemson to set their season in one direction or the other.
Yep.
And Georgia Tech doesn't make it easy on anybody. You've got to beat them. Otherwise, they'll just run you over. And so. This one will be high, at or near the top of my list of games to watch next Saturday for sure.
Marty, next one on the table in the crossover elements that we have with us today. Number 4, Georgia, and this is as we're talking, obviously rankings can change. Georgia at Tennessee, 3:30 Eastern at Neyland Stadium. Get-in price, $334, by the way. UGA is 7, total 50.5. As you think this one through.
I'm going to take Georgia.
Okay.
As an Ohio State fan, I have zero respect for Tennessee.
This is the first game that Tennessee has played against someone their own size. So
someone they view as their own size. We still don't know what they are yet. It's that's the same with every team, but I don't think they have the horses to keep up with them.
Okay.
And the only way that game gets to 57 is if Georgia goes off. I don't see Tennessee scoring that much against that defense at all.
I believe in snake drafts. So Marty at 3:30, Spartan Stadium, East Lansing, Michigan. Youngstown State, Michigan State.
Now, Youngstown State set a record for their quarterback. He actually ran for more yards than he threw, and he threw for a lot of yards. I mean, I know as a Penguin graduate, as you can see behind me, hiding behind that football gnome is a diploma.
Yes.
The Youngstown State has a nice history of sending good coaches Michigan State's way. But, I give them a puncher's chance, but that's going to be a blowout.
That's what I mean. But in the interest of equal time, you want to present
Michigan State has had trouble with running quarterbacks, and Youngstown State does do that well. And they got nothing to lose, which is a team you never want to play when they got zero expectations and a lot of heart. But I'm not delusional; they're going to lose.
No, and I think we now know the reason that West Virginia lost to Ohio University, Sly. The backyard brawl is in Morgantown at 3:30. Pitt, West Virginia. Pitt is a 257.5. Get in price $259 to Milan Pusker Stadium.
If whoever put the West Virginia schedule together, having to go to Athens, Ohio, the week before this game was a major gaffe. Obviously, another Pitt, West Virginia is another one of those games that, regardless of the records, it is a highly intense game, and based on what happened last week to West Virginia, this should be another one high in the list to watch just for the atmosphere, if nothing else.
South Florida continues their tour of the state of Florida. 4:30 Saturday afternoon at number 5 University of Coral Gables, playing at Hard Rock. Get in price only $37. Sly, what about this one?
Well, USF is not going to sneak up on the Hurricanes. I think that's pretty clear after the first 2 weeks. Why? But they've got to be feeling pretty good about themselves. They've got, I mean, the cliche is they've got nothing to lose. I mean, they could just let everything hang out at this point and see where the chips fall. All the heat's on Miami this week.
Yeah, you got that
after beating Notre Dame. And
little danger of clenching during this game.
Careful now. Ohio U at Ohio State, 7:00, Marty, at the Shoe. Get in price 110.
Oof. The band's worth seeing for 110. Feel bad for the Bobcats, but at least they're keeping that money payout in the state of Ohio. So good for them.
Yes. And 2 more before we get into football on a budget. Florida at LSU. Get in price of 155. It's a night game in Baton Rouge. LSU 6.5, Sly 54.5.
Wow. The losing coach of this game is going to be under a lot of heat. And
why I'm hot. This is why I'm hot.
And it's going to be, in light of what happened in Gainesville yesterday, this one is extremely tough to predict. But it'll be, I don't know how many drinks deep I'll be by this point, but it'll be a good one to be sedated watching for sure. And no idea the number.
Yes.
Yeah.
This would be a good parlay to put in, like total points scored, total rest before the game, the rest after the game.
Yes.
Embarrassing moves by head coach. You could get some interesting bets on this one.
And then a sneaky one at 7:30. Texas A&M, Marty, at Notre Dame. Texas A&M ranked number 19. Notre Dame ranked number 9. Notre Dame 6.5, 49.5.
As much as I hate to say it, I'd probably take Notre Dame. They won't start choking until the end of the season.
Right. All right. Let's wrap things up with football on a budget. We do have some early contenders. And believe it or not,
Who we got?
the first one is in Sly's territory.
Ooh.
7 o'clock
Waiting for
Friday
this.
night. Holgate at Syracuse. Get in price to the old HVAC unit, $3.
So the timing of this one is absolutely beautiful. I mean, you could go to happy hour, continue on drinking at the game, wind up on Marshall Street after. I mean, this is a tremendous way to start the weekend. Uh, I am a likely participant in that deal. So,
I want some live
yeah.
tweets from this game, sir.
Yeah, that is a killer event for $3.
All right, we can rapid fire a few here. Towson in Maryland, Saturday afternoon at CQ on the campus, $6.
Nah,
Even though it's a
never
Big
been to
Ten
that
school for
stadium, but I still
$6.
just don't care.
Yeah, no, agreed.
William and Mary in Virginia, in Charlottesville, noon kick, $8.
I'd say yes, because after that you could slip up to Harrisonburg, which is an hour away, which is a lot more interesting than Charlottesville.
But you might not be in the condition to get up there. That's
True.
a long Uber.
That's the trick. Yeah.
Alcorn at Mississippi State, 6 o'clock Saturday night at Davis Wade. Get in price, $9
Yeah.
for the bands alone. It's another band
won't
situation.
Come for
Field after
halftime.
that.
Stay for scoring.
Day for scoring and halftime. Monmouth at Charlotte at Jerry Richardson Stadium on the campus of Charlotte for $9. I believe that's what we refer to as a Pasadena.
Nah.
App State Southern Miss in Hattiesburg. Get in price, $9.
Yeah,
Not
pass.
moving the needle for me.
And then the last one on the board, 10:30. So you could start, at one end of the planet. You could finish up at Stanford Stadium in Stanford, California. 10:30 on ACC Network ish. BC and Stanford, get in price, $7.
Not feeling it.
Just for the novelty of it, BC playing that crazy game in East Lansing yesterday, and then having to fly all the way across the country against Stanford, who's been a disaster the first 2 weeks. I mean, this has train wreck possibilities, which could make it some good viewing.
Quick impression. And the prorated game to wrap up the week. 11:59 Eastern kick at Clarence T.C. Ching on the Big Island. Portland State at Hawaii, 11:59 Eastern time kick. Get in price, $36.
Adjusted for inflation. That's a take.
Entertainment and inflation purposes only. That is definitely there. Okay, let's put a bow on this week and getting ready for this one. Sly, any final thoughts about what you should say, what you shouldn't say, who you shouldn't say it to, and who is in and out of Heisman races or anything like that? Final thoughts from you.
Nope, this was a cupcake week. It gets real next week for a lot of these teams, and yeah, it's going to be a lot of buyout talk, I think, over the next month or so.
Ooh.
18.96 million. Remember, that's the number in Gainesville. Marty, last thoughts from you.
I guess, can we start the hot seat updates next week?
Sure.
Oh,
Unless
man.
we've started them this week already.
This is true. Bama's seat was hot in the preseason, so
Yes.
we're going to see how far he makes it.
Yes. So maybe it's a smoker for Alabama, and maybe it'll be a smoker in Gainesville for those dirty, rotten, cheating Gators as well. Once again, remember, midweek, Wilkie and I will take you through the College Football X, and we'll let you know what else is going on in and around the planet. And we'll catch up with some of the cool stories like Maction teams beating teams that otherwise might have been looking ahead, and all the other content that we have here. Don't forget to follow and like each and every one of us on the social medias, and lay out all of your thoughts every single week. Let us know what's going on in your brain. Video version, audio version on your favorite podcatchers, YouTube, all the things. For Brother Phil, who is in the Pacific Northwest. For Brother Marty, who will not be here next week because he has rugby on the brain. For Sly and me, who will be here next week because we are true degenerates and want to talk about Ohio University knocking off West Virginia on a daily basis. That is another go round of the review. You've been watching the review on the OSG Sports Network. Play it safe, everybody. For all of us here, to all of you there, we'll catch up with you next week.
Please like and subscribe.